Time now for Sid Sid-Zero. This is where I get 60 seconds to talk about anything. Start the clock, please. Here's what's on my mind this morning. Eugene Melnyk is the owner of the Ottawa Senators. Here he is. Worst owner in professional sports. And that's saying something. He's got the lowest payroll in hockey, refuses to sell the team, has done little winning, and there's constant turnover in his front office. All signs of a losing organization. And recently, nothing's changed except for this. They've acquired a lot of good young players. The future seems bright, which makes what's going on with their best players so infuriating. This is Brady Tkachuk, 22 years old, led the team last season in points, shots, and penalty minutes. He's also the only restricted free agent currently not signed at this stage of the preseason. Sens begin to play games for reals a week from today at home against the Leafs. Fans haven't been in that building for a regular season game since March of 2020. Don't let those fans show up and Brady Tkachuk isn't signed for opening night. That's what losing organizations do. David Amber of Hockey Night in Canada, he is phenomenal. He's getting ready for the season like the rest of us. David, good morning. Good to see you. Now, I've been in sports long enough. You've been in hockey long enough. This is probably going to get rectified between now and next week. But the fact that it's gone this long between Brady Tkachuk and the Sens, I find that kind of weird.
Well, you touched on a lot of good points there. And, Brady Tkachuk, he's a unicorn, as Brian Burke used to say. Here's a guy who can finesse you, but then he could beat you up in the corners if he had to as well. He's a dynamic power forward. And the Senators need someone like him. And more importantly, you mentioned they have a bunch of good young players. Well, Tim Stützle, who was their #1 pick the previous year and was one of the candidates for Rookie of the Year this past year, he lives with Brady Tkachuk. He's learning the ropes from Brady Tkachuk. So he's also a mentor to some of the other younger players on the Senators team. So that's a valuable role he plays. And, the real issue right now, Sid, is you want Brady Tkachuk locked in for 8 years, the way they have Thomas Chabot, one of their great young defensemen, locked in for the maximum 8-year term. And Brady Tkachuk might be leaning more towards a shorter bridge deal, a 3-year deal, a 4-year deal that will kind of walk him up closer to free agency to test the waters and see if he wants to stay long-term in our nation's capital. So there's a stalemate right now. And as you said, all signs point to, it better be resolved for Ottawa Senators Nation in the next 7 days, or there's going to be a lot of consternation as they start the regular season against the Leafs a week today.
David, my concern in these situations, especially with a player like Brady Tkachuk, is that sure, it's going to get settled at some point, but how much damage is done to get to that point? I'm always really concerned about that. Am I overdoing that scenario, or is there a real threat of that here?
Well, so the one thing I'll say is his brother, Matthew Tkachuk, who plays for the Calgary Flames, he went through this similar scenario a couple of years ago. He ended up signing one of those bridge deals, one of those shorter-term deals. I think these guys understand it's a business. Their father, Matthew and Brady's father, Keith Tkachuk, here's a 500-goal scorer. He was around the league for 20 years. They know it's a business. I don't think this is all being taken personally. Someone's throwing incredible amounts of money at you. I think they're not going to necessarily take it as well, this is it. It's irreconcilable. We can't go on with this franchise. I think Pierre Dorian's doing a very good job trying to just placate the situation, get it resolved in a sense it's manageable in the payroll for the Ottawa Senators and manageable that Brady Tkachuk feels wanted and loved and needed and all those things. And I'm sure part of the agreement would be if he could get him for an 8-year deal, we'll slap that C on your chest. You'll be the captain of the Ottawa Senators moving forward. So I think there's a lot of incentives there from the Senators to get this locked down. I don't think this is a situation that's necessarily ruined at this point, Sid.
David, you are captain of kitchen decor at this time of the morning, and never ceases to amaze me how lovely your home is. Thanks for doing this, David. Hockey season begins in earnest next week. David Amber, Sportsnet Hockey Night in Canada. Great stuff, David. Have a good day.
Hey, you too, Sid.
Take care.